Are you with us, Miss Constance? I like that name because that's my daughter's name, Constance. All right, so without any further ado then, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. And we have already shared who we are. And so now we want to go over our agenda. We're going to talk about the roles of the parents, why home and school, the roles of the home and school leader, how to get started, the various generations, any other ideas that we can come up with, and some will be shared that will help the home and school department to thrive. Okay, we don't just want to exist, we want to thrive so that we're able to grow our enrollment and communicate more effectively with our parents. Okay, and then of course we'll have question and answer part time. By the way, also, if you have questions, I'm going to ask you to just write them down on a pad or to place them in the chat. And when we get to that stopping point, we have 3 stopping points. When we get there, we will share. Okay, is that all right? Thumbs up if you're good. Reaction doesn't make any difference. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's get going. All right, we realize that parent engagement is so critical to student success. I was listening to a pastor on, and it may have been Pastor Snell yesterday, but where he was sharing how important it is for us not to judge people, because we don't know their upbringing. We don't know how they had to deal with various situations. We have insurance. Some people have no insurance, so they look to other types of sources to meet their needs. And if they're sick, if they're uneducated, we don't know, were they homeless? Did they not have parents that took the time to be an effective part of their lives? So he was sharing to don't judge, but you know what? Parent engagement is the key to making a significant difference in students' achievement. Look at what the research says. It shows that when families are involved at home and school, 3 things just automatically. Students attend school more regularly. Students have better grades. Students enroll in high-level programs and have higher graduation rates. That's pretty awesome. And that is important because you will find out what some of you all already know, I'm just reiterating it, but you will find out what the role of the leader in the home and school and the members are as it relates to the parent in the school. Here's a quote from Grace Chin, 2021. Parental involvement not only enhances academic performance, but it also has a positive influence on student behavior and attitude. Have you noticed the more the parents are involved, usually the less problems you have with the child? Now, we'll look at various generations, and I have kids in 2 different generations, and I can tell you that my last son, we had to really be involved in his learning because he was one that was going to do what he wanted to do. And so the teachers were thankful that they could pick up the phone. And whereas I worked in the same building that he went to school, granted, I would tell them, please call his dad. And his dad, all you had to do was put my son and his dad on the phone, and that usually just settled everything. So the more that the parents are involved in children's academic success, the better the attitude, the better the behavior. Students really almost mimic what parents do. So the more positive the parents are, the more positive the students are. And so it increases their conduct, it increases their self-esteem. We already talked about absenteeism, where it reduces it and it motivates the kids to be successful. All right, it says that the more intensively involved parents are, the greater the positive impact on academic achievement. That part is powerful, powerful. Parent engagement is all about the children. I'm going to repeat that. Sorry, let me go back one. It is all about the children. And the reason why, and the reason why is our schools cannot provide the education. They provide the education, but the education that's at home that they need, the one-on-one, sometimes the teacher can't give it at that time. At home, the kids see that the parents are invested in their education. So they join in with the learning education of it all. Parent engagement is all about the children and making sure they receive the kind of education they deserve. Now, if you can see my screen, please raise your hand, because I don't want to be showing. Okay, you can see it. Good. All right, now let's get spiritual. Will somebody read that for me?
In the formation of character, no other influences count so much as the influence of the home. The teacher's work should supplement that of the parents, but it is not to take its place. In all that concerns the well-being of the child, it should be the effort of the parents and teachers to cooperate.
Now, I didn't meet Ellen White face to face. I don't think any of you all did. So we know that this piece of information was written long ago, probably in the 1800s, and it's from page 284 in the Book of Education, and how important it was for her to pen that information, and how valuable it is for us even today. Parents are so influential in the lives of their children. And when the teacher and the parent cooperates together, the only thing we get is a successful child. Of course, we have to put God in it, because God is the head of everything. But when when the teacher and the parent conflicts, the only people that really get hurt are the children. Working together for the children, parent and teacher cooperation. You may say, okay, I get it, but I'm the home and school leader. What does that have to do with me? What's the purpose, of the home and school? And so we learned that the home and school, the purpose for the home and school is to educate parents on a variety of child rearing issues. It unites the home, the school, and the church in their endeavors to provide Seventh-day Adventist Christian education for the children. You've heard that it takes a village to raise a child. And as it was true in the past, it is still true today. So what are the objectives? We have found out what the purpose is, but here are the objectives. It is to educate parents in cooperation with the church and school for developing the whole child. Okay, to promote cooperation between parent, teacher, and the church in educational process. We have our children to perform at churches. We do outreach in the community. This is getting the parents, the teachers, the students, and the churches together to collaborate and to work together. It's all educational for the children. Okay, so to give guidance of love and discipline, to provide an opportunity for the association relationships to develop, to support the church school economically and within the community. Because sometimes you may say, well, I don't have the funds. My funds are strapped, but what else can you do? How else can you pull the church school and the students and the church and the community together? Okay, because everybody wins when we do that. All right, to strengthen the relationship between the home and the school. We all know that home and school bridges the gap. As you can see, the bridge across the ocean, no one can get across. The one up front, up top, no one can get across. It has to be another part that is inserted to allow cars to pass through. Everyone's been on a bridge before, I'm sure. Okay, and that is what needed. That is what the Home and School Association does. It bridges the gap. So here's the deal. The purpose of Home and School Association is to advance the cause of Christian education in the home and school, and to help in the development of Christian character in all its members and their dependents. Now, you may think that, man, that's a lot. I mean, I took on this position as being the home and school leader, but that's quite a bit. So you realize that the goal of the Home and School Association is to enroll every church school child in the Christian school that is supported by that church. With earnest endeavors should be made to provide for students that are unable to attend because of finances. There should be funds that are set aside. I know that there's one school in particular. I know that it is, I believe it's the Macon School. Any child that wants to attend, they are able to attend. Why? Because they have the backing of the school board and the church and the home and school leaders saying, listen, we're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going to ensure that if a child wants to attend church school, a parent wants to send their child to church school, we're going to make it happen. And praise God for that decision that they've made. So what is the chief responsibility of the home and school leader? We talked about it. Sometimes we get sidetracked on, is it about providing all the technology that is needed, all the instructions that are needed? What about the curriculum? You know, we're asking all these questions. But again, we also know it's about Adventist Christian education. We are to promote Christian education, Adventist Christian education. As you can see, you can't do it alone. You need help. So there's things that you need to consider as you are searching for your team that's going to work with you so that you can achieve the goal that is outlined for you. Before we move on, are there any questions or comments?
I do have a question. Do you have a current copy? And I was trying to look for it while I was here, of what the church manual says that the purpose of home and school. I came into on the school board middle of the year, but from what I remember and what I remember reading, home and school, and this is good that we're going over this. In my mind, so let me put out a disclaimer. In my mind, it is not only promoting Christian education, it's being engaged with the parents to find out the temperament of the home environment, to see if any child has any needs that the school needs to worry about. So let's say the parent is not working and there's lack of food, to be not to only function as a PTA, but to be engaged between the home actually and the school. And it also involves, in my mind, being engaged, and also like having our pastor engaged. At our church, we're getting ready to have the children have pizza with pastor. And the idea of it is to introduce him. It is also for him to establish a relationship, for us to get a feel for where the kids, where their little minds are and those different things, so that we can relay information to the principals and the board as to this is how our kids are feeling. We can implement other programs or
Yes.
something to assist. Am I off track with that?
No, you are certainly on track. And that is a great part of filling the gap, bridging that gap. Yes. And because when parents see that they have an advocate, they have somebody on their team that is interested in their not only their child's well-being, but also their well-being, they're more attentive, they're more receptive to what you're asking them to do, and they're more willing to engage. Okay, and we're gonna go a little bit further, but thank you so much for sharing, because you are on target. There is a booklet that is just for the Home and School Association. Okay, and so I was privy to that, and it has a lot of this information in it. So, Ms. Jackson,
How do we get it?
I will write a note, because it was given to me, and okay. And then I will speak with Mrs. Gator to see how we can place it in the home and school leaders' hands. Okay.
And the
Yes.
last thing I had is in our co-leadership with Ms. Collins, what we did is we had a home and school meeting, but when we have home and school, we invite the church school board as well, so that when the parents speak, and not only the school board, but the church school staff, that the staff can hear directly what the parents are saying as well, so that they know that it is a I won't say three-pronged ministry, but when you speak, the board is here to support, to listen, the staff is here to support and to listen, and everybody's on the same page. It's no, I believe in operating with transparency, so that that the parents don't feel like they've got to go through all these legal layers to get a point across, and the school board doesn't have to, and the church school staff doesn't go. We're all one team working for the common goal.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have another training to do at like 12:30 somewhere. I may ask you to come back, because some of the same things you're sharing right now, that next group may need to hear it.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. So who will be part of the Home and School Association? Because as we've already shared, you can't do this alone. So there's some people that are automatically on the committee. They're on the team. You have, of course, the leader of the home and school. You have, if you have an assistant home and school leader, I see how you at Gethsemane, there's a co-leadership with the home and school leaders. Awesome. The librarian, if you have one, the education secretary, the treasurer, all right, ex officio, the school principal. But these are who you need, but there's other people that you also need on your team. So you're the home and school leader. You ask yourself, what do I do now? Well, first you have to know who your audience is. That's so important, because those are the people you're going to be communicating with. So knowing who your audience is helps to know who you're going to be in contact with. Okay. All right. Who are the members of the church school, home and school association? All members of the church. All of the parents of the students that are enrolled in your school. Any sponsors that you may have, they're part of the membership of this home and school. All right. They may not be officers, but they are members. I just quickly took a snapshot of this. 5 generations working side by side. And let's quickly just go through some of the traditionalists, okay? And we know that they were born somewhere between 1900 to 1945, all right? So some of those could even qualify or be classified as your great-grandparents, okay? And then you have the children's great-grandparents. Then you have the baby boomers. As you can see, the baby boomers, and they were born between 1946 and 1964. Then we move over to Generation X, okay? And they were born between 1965 and 1976. Then you have the Millennials, which are also classified as Generation Y, and they were born between 1997 and, excuse me, I'm trying to look at my glasses, 1977 to 1976. And then the Generation 2020, which is also called Generation Z, and they were born after 1996. So what is the average age of most parents today? Let's look quickly at 4 of the generations, okay? Because we don't expect the ones that were born between 1900 and 1945 to be having school-age children in K through 12. We don't have any Sarahs in our school, you know, Abraham and Sarah. I should have had somebody laughing by now. All right, let's go. All right, so we have the baby boomers, as I said, between 1946 and 1964. Their current age right now is 57 to 75. All right, they're the biggest consumers of media, and they like television, radio, magazines, newspapers. Despite their traditions, though, these baby boomers also have a Facebook account. They're getting into technology. They adapt more to it, and they stay in touch with their family. All right, we're going to jump down to Generation X. Of course, they're between the ages of 41 to 46. They still read the newspaper, they listen to the radio, they watch TV. However, they're more digitally savvy, okay? They're on those computers. They spend roughly 7 hours on Facebook. And they communicate more so with technology, okay? They're not as savvy as our next generation, though. You know, you have the millennials, which we call Generation Y. And our Generation Y, yes, they still watch TV, you know, but now they're onto Netflix. I know I watch a little Netflix and different things, but they're into Hulu. And of course we have the Prime Video and other videos that are out there where they can get the cutting edge of streaming programs and streaming different services and television shows. All right, so they typically have multiple social media accounts. Me, I have one, Facebook. It's enough for me, you know, but they have several of them. I heard my daughter talking, and she's in this generation. And she was talking about what happened on Instagram. And of course, I know she has a Facebook account. And so I think she also has a Twitter. So they're into several social media ventures. And then we have Generation Z. Their ages are from 9 to 24. I have one that's 19. And I tell you, he's different than the other 2 I have. All right. They received their first mobile phone at age 10.3. So let me tell you something. We were laughing because, you know, my generation, you know, I'll just say it, I was born in 65. My generation, we can still remember the 8-track, some of the records, and we think, oh man, that was cool, the cassette. Then we went to the CD that was about this big, and then they started getting smaller and smaller, and now you don't even have a CD, then of course they transfer it over to Blu-ray, and now you don't need it, you can just stream everything, right? My son, I started talking about some stuff and he was like, what? Are you kidding? Yes, son. The what? Y'all, we talk about the phones that were this big, and, what? And so he told me the other day, Mom, I accidentally dropped my phone in water. Well, my thing is I'm already paying a lot of money for you to attend school, as it is an Adventist school. And Mama just don't have extra money like that for a phone. I mean, I got you a new phone that I'm still paying on, and you messed up your phone. And so he says, well, Mom, I found one. It's just $250. What is just? And so they really don't have that connection with the value of money. They just, hey, I want it. Let me get it. And of course, he has a brother that makes good money. He's a pilot. So if Mama don't give it to him, he reaches out to his brother. And so I'm reaching to his brother first, like, do not get it for him. Do not. He needs to learn, But that's Generation Generation Z. Many of them grew up playing with their parents' mobile phones or tablets. They have grown up in a hyper-connected world, and the smartphone is their preferred method of communication. All right, so I heard someone say that their son, he doesn't understand that you can pick up even a mobile phone and just talk like this. He thinks that they always have to look at each other, and so he's like, but Mom, I need to see you, and so that's that generation right there, I tell you. All right, so we already know, do you agree that the school-age children, that the parents of these school-age children are between 25 and 50? I would say they're somewhere around there, okay? And so that we want to dig a little deeper into the generations X and Y. All right, so Generation X, they're growing up hearing about failing schools. They're skeptical problem solvers who thrive on collaboration. They're more family oriented. They expect to communicate instantly with you and your teachers. And they expect you to have a first-class website with information on ways they can help their children succeed in school. So I already told you I'm 65, so I just came over into that. So really, 64, 65, I can land right about there, right? And so what I chose to do is, because I can get a website up, but to maintain it and keep it as vibrant as these younger parents are looking for, I decided to put somebody on my team that was younger, who knew how to do it, who could do it faster than I could. And the parents were elated about what they saw. And of course, the principal always got the credit for it. So I didn't say I did it, but I went on to take the credit. But let's look at our next generation. Generation Y, these millennials. And they are more educated than the previous generation. These millennials expect communication and the return of investment for their tuition dollars. If they can't see where they're going to get a return for placing their kids in Christian education, if it looks just like a regular school, they say, I can spend my money somewhere else, and so they expect you to communicate immediately with them, and they want to see what you are doing outside of the norm, so that they can really believe that they are investing in quality education. These parents are experts in technology. With the help of their smartphones, millennium parents have access to endless answers. So trust me, most of the time when they come to the principal or they come to you as the home and school leader, most of them already have an answer in the back of their head. They just want to know how are you going to process their question and the answer that you're going to share with them. Millennial parents welcome open dialogue and collaboration. They want authenticity. They want to know that you are being genuine with them. And then our last one is that the millennial moms aim for perfection and the dads aim to be present. All right. How many of us know parents like that in any of the generations that we've shared of the last two, the X and the Y? Just with the reaction, if you know parents that are in either one of those categories. All right. I don't see you, but I hope that you're there with me. I see Miss Collins. Thank you. All right. So we're going to move deeper. Now, as the leader, you must identify barriers between the home and the school. And so if you look down at this lower picture, you'll see where parents are saying, you know, I can't afford it. Already have a back bill, you know. Who are the educators? You know, are they qualified? You know, what's the difference between the public school up the street and this school? You know, I don't have funds. What are the programs? Because I can get more programs over at the school that my child is zoned for. You know, how has our church school improved? You know, how are the testing scores? They're asking these things, and you have to be ready to identify what the barriers are between the home and the school and be able to deal with it so that you can gain the trust and the support of your parents. Can I get somebody to read this page for me? Parent engagement barriers are real.
Parents who believe they do not have the ability to help their child do better in school. Parents who do not feel that the school welcomes their input. Lack of true two-way respectful partnership communication between parents and school personnel. Parents who feel intimidated by and don't trust the school.
So you already see these barriers that parents have already put up a barrier. Okay, they do not have the ability to help their children to do better. You know, they don't feel they're welcomed at the school. They lack of their true two-way relationship with the parents in the school, you know, and they feel intimidated. Some of your parents say, okay, I don't understand this, you know, maybe you're talking too fast. Maybe it wasn't broken down, but I just feel that you as the leader or the principal have talked over me and I feel intimidated, so I don't trust the process. All right, so the first step to overcoming barriers is to identify them. We must identify what is going on. That means getting to know the parents. I think Ms. Jackson was sharing about getting to know the needs of the parents, the frustrations of the parents, you know, bringing the parents together, providing for their needs the best that we can, encouraging them to participate in different activities, bringing them together, letting them see how interested you are in their lives as well as their children's lives.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
One other thing that my co-chair, we were going to do, and we announced it at the meeting, and I said, well, let me just make sure, again, I'm on the right track. But because we're in a COVID environment and we can't just go into everybody's home, we were thinking about setting up maybe like a quarterly Zoom call with the family. That way the parent can be on the child, and we, you know, just have what's the word I want to use? One, we're just checking in. We want to commit to our word. Is there anything you need? Is there anything you'd like to see done differently? Is there anything that we're doing that's exceptional? Because, it's not just to uncover issues, it is also to recognize the good thing that our staff and the students are doing. So are we on the right track with those types of engagements?
So you have to be really careful with that. So I am hesitantly saying yes. The reason why is you can catch a parent that has their own agenda for complaining, okay? And they think that you're going to be the ear that's siding with them to lash out at the teacher or to do whatever. And you're supposed to be a support. So if they're sharing something, you know, and I tell people their perception is the way that they feel. So I understand that, but to let them see the other side of what is going on, that means that the home and school leaders have to be in the schools to know what's going on. You know, they need to not just be one that's walking through, looking in classroom doors, no, participating. You know,
and that's what our team, and I will say it is unique because Sister Collins is the administrator, so she's there. She's at the front desk. She sees the parents every morning. She sees the students, and I actually rely on her interactions and engagement. I will volunteer, and before I had my little hip surgery, I was volunteering with Principal Mabry and sitting in the classrooms so that I can, I don't think my job as home and school is to counter or dismiss what the parents are saying. At the same time, just because of the field of work that I'm in with UPS as human resources, is to balance. I have to defend both sides, the school and the parent, and find that sweet spot in between where we all can just kind of get along.
yeah.
So, but I just want to make sure that
Yeah. And thank you for bringing that up, because that's very, very important. I as a parent or as a student, because Ms. Collins has a double role, most of the time she is in the position of one of the staff members in the school. And because of that, it may be viewed a little differently than you just coming in, being active with the students and stuff. Now, I'm gonna tell you that the home and school leader, I had a great one. She was very active in the school. The students knew exactly who she was, whether she was bringing in stuff for them to have a party, or right now they're working on an oratorical contest that she's headed up, you know, just various things that she would do all during the school year. The home and school leader, every time we had a home and school meeting, they were the ones that fixed the food for the meeting. So what happens? We got over 90% participation because the parents knew that they could find a place to eat. She was also an ear. They knew that people could come talk to her, but because she knew so much about what was going on in that school, she was an advocate for students, and parents, but also for the school. So we trusted her that whatever she heard, she would come back. And not only did she come back and share the concerns, she also had suggestions on how we could improve and what part she was going to play in it to ensure our success. Because if we don't thrive, we die. So when they know that they have an advocate for them, then the parents know that they have an advocate that's really interested in ensuring that the quality and the standards are up, because they are really jumping in hand and foot to ensure that this stuff takes place. They're more encouraged. Another thing is, especially for our small schools where the principal is the teacher, that's where I was, where the principal was a teacher, parents are already curious. Like, how can you do both jobs? You know, so you're not in your room all the time, or you're this, that, and other. But when you get several parents on your team, and that's where it comes with even choosing members that you want to work with as a home and school leader, because you want them to have the buy-in, and I would choose grandparents almost any day because they already know about the value of Christian education. And I have some just writing me a check almost every month. Do what you know is best for this school. So I would say yes, but I will put that hesitation to it that you know what you're doing.
Yeah. My situation is again a little bit unique, where one, previous to this role, I not only had my children in the church school, I was on the school board, then I was education secretary. So I'd like to think, and I asked the Lord, I said, what are you doing? But he gave me insight because it's hard to be a parent and then speak from your children's point of view, be a board member and know the ugly ins and outs of everything that ain't working well with the school, and then be the education secretary to promote positive, whether you feeling it or not. So that's what I think home and school is, that we can see the truth from both sides, but still work for a common goal and still promote Christian education, because that's what we believe in.
Exactly. In fact, to the point where when I left for Wren Christian Junior Academy, which is our mother school, what I call it, and I went down to a small school, I took my son. He wasn't happy because he was going to the 7th grade. But I said, if I'm going to promote AAIS, Atlanta Adventist International School, I need to support it by bringing you down. The blessing was that the coach, the basketball coach, he lived nearby and he still wanted Paris to play on the team. So he would come by the school and pick up Paris, and I just had to pick him up on my way home, which proved to be a blessing, and it worked for my son. But yeah, we see the ugliness. We do. And we have to continue to promote. But I think about the lady that was caught in adultery. Everybody saw the ugliness. Jesus wasn't naive to what was going on. But you know what? He didn't blast her. You know the rest of the story. And once all the accusers walked on away, he said, woman, where are your accusers? Go and sin no more. So he was there to support this lady, even though she had done wrong, to support her and to build her up, so that she can be successful. And I was glad, because when I went into the school where I was, being new, never been down there, all this other stuff, I needed support. And the blessing was my home and school leader that was at the one school. We were friends. I told her where I was going. She says, well, I'm coming with you. And that just made a world of a difference to know that I had immediate support, So yes, I'm so thankful that you all are working together, in that role. And yes, you do see it all. You see it all. But the blessing is you see the ugly and you see the good, and you can work with the ugly, to bring it up to where it needs to be and continue to support the school. And sometimes we don't agree with a certain person in the building. I had this same situation, and because it seems like they're not on the same track of as you are. But you know what? You're a unit. Every school is a unit. It isn't a piece here, a piece there, a piece there. When you become unified, you take the good and the bad. I look at it as my children. I mean, I can't throw away my youngest son because he just wants to do whatever. No, we're a family, and when he get in trouble, I'm in trouble, because hey, they come to me looking for the money or whatever, so I have to continue to speak in his life. Listen, you represent us. You got to think before you talk. You got to think before you do things, because we are a unit, and so are the Adventist, Seventh-day Adventist churches and church schools. So thank you so much, Ms. Jackson. I'm loving your participation. I need some more of y'all to jump on board, please. All right, so once identified, the solutions are often simpler than we think. A lot of times the parents are complaining or whatever, and honestly, there are real solutions that are pretty simple. I realized that when the more the parents complained, the less they were involved. So then I encouraged them and invited them to get involved. And some of them were happy to get involved. Well, it only was a win-win for our school. And some of them, I had to graciously tell them, I respectfully hear you, but we need help. What can you do to assist us? We need financial help. We need you to just come in and read to the students, or serve food on a Friday, or what can you do? And most of them, when it was a nice way of saying put up or shut up, I guess, I don't know. But most of them, you didn't hear much more from them because they weren't willing to carve out time, or maybe they weren't able to carve out time to be a positive influence on what was going on at the school. Now, I just want you to close your eyes for a minute. Trust me, nobody's going to rob you because you're in your own comfort of your home. But close your eyes, and I want you to think about your school. Think about the administrator. Now, think about the students, the teachers, the parents. Now, think of the pastor and the church members. Who works with the Home and School Association in your community? What role does your Home and School Association play in the well-being of the school? Is the Home and School Association functioning at peak efficiency? I hope nobody's peaking yet. What are some critical barriers to success as you perceive them? Now, I want you to open your eyes. I was going to put us in breakout rooms, but I think it's only a few of us. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And I want you to unmute, if you don't mind, and share. Okay? Again, you're thinking about your school. You're thinking about who the administrator is. You're thinking about who the teachers are. You're bringing in the students and their parents. You're thinking about who the pastor is. Who are your church members? Now you're thinking about who works with the Home and School Association in your community. What role does your Home and School Association play in the well-being of the school? All right. Anybody ready to share something?
Ms. McGee, I'll say in my particular situation, we have 3 constituent churches, and I don't have a home and school leader in any church.
Ooh.
And so since I've been there, July the 1st, and I've been working with my school board chair to, we know that we just had elections and things of that nature. When we're trying to work with the pastors to get someone from each church to represent home and school. And that's where I am right now. As of last week, we're trying to get some names of some people. So that's where I am right now.
Got you. Okay, yeah, that's a critical piece to your success. It really is. So thank you so much for sharing. And we're going to be praying that those individuals will be identified soon, so that the progress of home and school will bridge that gap that is needed to be bridged. All right, someone else want to share? Oh, come on. Yes, Ms. Collins, you want to share?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to speak up. Well, I know that from my perspective, we are not functioning at peak right now. Many factors, and the main factor has been since I've been home and school leader now for 4 years.
Mhm.
I believe 4 years or 3.5, because I started in the middle of one of the school years.
Okay.
Because we couldn't find anybody in our church who would take home and school. So, so I volunteered with Pastor Johnson to do it. But the biggest problem we've always had, which is what I've been trying to identify over the past few years, is how to get more parental participation. And also to identify, I'm loving this right now, with identify the barriers,
Mhm.
because we have barriers with our parents participating with the school. They're just very lax. But then we
Mhm.
have barriers between the church members and the school. And so it's been an uphill battle trying to figure out what the barriers are and why we have these barriers, because I would really like to identify the barriers so we can overcome them, so we can get that parent participation.
Mhm.
Because I know how I used to work for public school system. And so I know how important it is to have the parental involvement for the students. It helps with everything. It helps with their attitudes, like you said. It helps with their grades when
Correct.
their parents are involved. And so, and I want parents to be involved more so than just when they're unhappy with something.
Correct. Mhm.
And so that's what we've been trying to identify. And we are breaking down some of the barriers. I'm not going to say we're not doing any. We are breaking down some of them. They feel more free to talk now than they did before.
Okay.
So it's working, but it's just a slow process. It's a slow process.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have to say, due to COVID, it has made it a little harder
Yes.
to get that engagement that is so needed.
Yes.
But there are other avenues of bringing people together. And I know that you all sit on a nice piece of land, if I'm not mistaken, and just having outings, you know, um, putting one thing that we knew that worked every home and school meeting, we put the children on program. Even if they were virtual home and school meetings, we put the children on program. And putting the children on program brought the parents out, knowing that they were going to get a free meal. They didn't have to worry about going to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A. They had a meal right there. They were encouraged. The more the principal, the staff, the home and school, the pastor, the more they and the school board members promote Christian education, the more buy-in the parents have. Because I started at a school and they loved Adventist education, but they didn't trust it because they had gone through several principals and
Right.
they just weren't trusting the process.
Right.
And so I had to share with conviction about my beliefs in Adventist Christian education. And you always put your money where your mouth is. So they knew that if there was a need, anything, those children didn't have to worry about anything because I was going to buy it, praying that I would get my money back from the fundraisers. But I couldn't wait on the fundraisers, you know? And so I had to get it. So when the parents saw that I was engaged and I was putting it down, guess who stepped forward? Honestly, it was the grandparents. The grandparents stepped forward because guess what? They were avid promoters of Christian education and wanted to ensure that their grandchildren, because remember I told you about those parents, they've already heard of failing schools, so they're not sure about this, they could save money doing other things. And it was the grandparents that stepped up and said, oh no, my grandchildren are going to go to Adventist Christian education. My mom did it for some of my siblings' kids. And I saw these grandparents really stepping up and taking the role. And so they started buying stuff. What do you need, Miss McGee? Okay, I get that. What else do you need? Or here's a check. I trust you. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, okay, thank you. But
Actually, we do have grandparents that do that. And
Yeah.
what you're talking about right now, I
mhm,
can think of 3 in my mind, 3
Yeah.
different students, grandparents that do just that.
yeah. And so get them involved because they're gonna support Christian education. What you need is the buy-in from your millennials and your
Right.
Generation Z, because what happens is they already think they know more than the average teacher or whatever,
Right.
and they know what's best for their child, and it's usually
Right.
not Adventist Christian education,
Right.
and so getting them on board. So like I had one of those a millennial parent, she did the website. So you got to find things that they're interested in,
Truly.
Oh, okay.
and so
Okay.
and I had somebody to do Facebook, I had somebody else to get the kids into doing activities. Once you get them where they are and they're excited to bring things over and to do things, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, I'm a part of this.
Right.
I brought in those millennial parents. I had a career day. Bring them in, let them talk.
That's right.
Because
Okay.
the kids are interested in what they're doing. One has $1 million company. Oh yeah, they wanted to talk about what they did. Hey, it worked for me
Amen.
Okay.
because
Yeah.
you told how
Can I-
much you made. Now I'm going to ask you for some money.
Right.
Jump in- Can I
And
can I jump
and it's
can I
all
jump
about
in,
your baby.
can I jump
know?
into the conversation?
Yes.
I want to talk about millennials because I have 2, and when we have question and answer period, I bring that up then.
Yes.
But the smaller churches, I'm in Spartanburg, it's a unique difference from
Mhm.
the church in bigger cities. Of course, we don't have a church school, but we have partnered with the White Brothering. They have a church school facility right around the corner, and we are very connected. However, the problem that I was experiencing was that they didn't know how to handle the behavior of most of our kids. And they kind of, they didn't know what to do. And so we lost a lot of parents based on that, because when we baptized a lot of members, they were coming from the low income communities and so forth. And so a lot of the parents were dissatisfied, so they took their kids out and put them in public schools. And the other experience was that we were having trouble with aftercare. That's one of the major problems
Mhm.
of any Adventist school, because they were getting out at 2 o'clock on regular days, and Fridays before sunset at 1:30. There was nobody to bridge that gap. Because back in my time, it was a little different. Grandparents were more involved, and you could leave them with grandmama, grandpa. But that was 2 of the barriers that we experienced. So right now, from 6 kids that we had, then we have 0 now. Because once they catch that wind, like you said, it's hard to bring them back into
Yeah.
the fold,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that mindset is set that in that direction. So that's the barriers that we're experiencing.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that you all have experienced that. Let me ask you something. How far are you from a church school that is within our conference?
The closest one, they no longer have school at Greenwood, Anderson, Greenville. Really, has to be Charlotte.
And
I
how
would
far is
think
Charlotte?
about hour and 45 minutes.
I see.
And then the next one is, of course, Atlanta, which is about 2 hours.
I see. Yeah, that's a long ride now. Hey, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're going to be praying that the Lord will provide what you all need in that area, because Christian education is what, even if it was one child, it's something that child needs.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be praying for you in your district. I understand my mom put us in Sister Adventist Church because there was church school, because there was no church school in our area. And I think we may have stayed all of a week or 2 weeks. I can recall the teacher telling my mom, this was in the late 70s, like 78, 79, that she had never taught an African-American child And so she didn't know how to teach me. And
Right.
my mom being a teacher was like the same way you teach all the other students,
Mhm.
but she realized that that was not going to work. So my mom being a Adventist church school teacher, opened up her family room in her home and started the church school, which grew out of her home to a church school that ended up in the church itself. And it thrived for the 7.5 years that my parents were in the district.
Mhm.
So God has a way. If
Yes.
you're really sincere about promoting Adventist Christian education for our students, God has a way. And I promise you, when you get on one accord, he will show you the way and provide as well. So we're praying for you down there in Spartanburg, over in Spartanburg.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no more comments, we're going to move back into our slideshow because I only have about 15 minutes. All right. And we want to go from the current one. So we've just done our reflection. And so we're going to move, and we've already taken care of our questions and comments. So then it says, what is the Home and School Association goal? And we know that it is cooperation, bringing the parents, the school, and the church together. Because all we're doing is one common goal, really, is building up God's kingdom. And we're taking the home, the school, and the church and bridging the gap by bringing them together. All right. This is 6 slices of parent involvement, parent engagement. Some people call it engagement. Some people call it involvement. Whichever one you're used to is fine, but you just know that it means the same. Get the parents involved with volunteering. The more they volunteer, the more they get to know the students, the more they get to love the students, the more they interact with the students and other parents, and they're willing to share their stories. And their stories are what promotes your school. I had one student who came. His mother was really leery, about bringing him, and he was a kindergartner. He loved it so much that the next year, the mother had a brother that was a teenager, and she wanted him to come to our school. He was going to be 7th grade. And she convinced her mom, which was the little boy's grandmother, to send the young man. And so they did. And not only that, the little boy went to the church. They asked him to speak, to give a memory verse or whatever. And he recited the memory verse. And when he got finished, he talked about our church school. Another family joined our church school because of that. The following year, I promise you, it was about 5 or 6 people that joined from his church, joined our church school because of what this one little boy continued to share about our school. And of course, we gave him a discount, that, because we were proud that he was, promoting Adventist Christian education at our school. All right. And parents have to be involved in parenting. Okay. It's very important, but some parents don't know how to actively and effectively parent. And so the home and school, they should take on that responsibility to ensure that the parents know what is expected of them as they work with their children to educate them. And then you have the piece of communicating. The parents have to communicate what is going on. If they shut down, it brings up the barrier again. But if they feel like they are welcome to share, open it up. I was somewhere and this lady, she was not as popular, I guess, as some of the other parents, and she was trying to talk, and I saw, unfortunately, a staff member kind of shut her down. We can't do that. I don't care what they look like. I don't even care what they smell like. You make them feel as important as the person that drove a Mercedes and parked in the front of your school and got out, because everybody is valuable. We promote parents being involved in the learning that is at home. And also they are encouraged to even come to the school to participate. Of course, you know, we have rules that they must go through the shield, the vulnerable and everything, but hey, we invite them. And then they should be involved in decision making. I'm telling you, those millennials and the Generation Z, they want to be involved. If you shut them out thinking they're too young or they don't understand, they'll walk. They'll go somewhere else. All right. And then collaborating with the community. All of those are very important. All right. Focus on what matters. Focus, because sometimes we can get sidetracked about what he said, she said, they said, whatever, but focus on what actually matters. Promoting Adventist education, enhancing parent-teacher relationships, encouraging effective parenting. That's not just telling them what to do, but jump in and help them, show them, participate in what they are doing to help them. I mean, a parent doesn't have food, that you can promote Adventist education all you want to, and you say, I'll pray for you. That's not helping them, you know. So help them, show them the good food, even give them some good food that can help them while they are raising their children. You know, provide resources. I think Miss Jackson was talking about all of this. Here we are right here, you know, and organize meetings. Put them, hey, I put my parents on program, you know, even if it's just like the opening prayer or sharing something. Sometimes I take out like a 5-minute grateful period, you know, where the parents can stand up and say, I'm thankful because this, that, and other. They feel like they're part, you know, and I always say, always love on them. You don't know what they've been through that day, but you certainly can love on them. And that can change the situation that they're going through just by loving on them.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it
Promoting that
possible-
interest. Yes.
Is it possible for us to get a copy of this presentation? And the reason is, like, when we had our home and school meeting, these slides would have been perfect. Because I really don't believe even our school boards may not have a full understanding of what home and school is. They think it's just fundraising or just this,
Right.
and it's not just any
Right.
one thing. And if you're working on everything and then don't have a pulse on how your children feel,
Correct.
then the parents could be delusional, the staff could be delusional, but the children, they're very honest.
Exactly.
So you got to be in contact with them. But this presentation would be very, very helpful.
Praise God. Praise God. So I'm going to tell you, it's been recorded and the conference will make it available.
Okay,
The
thank
answer
you.
is yes. And I do want to say that we included our parents in fundraising. You got ideas? Okay, let's set up a date where you can kick this off, you know, because a lot of times people can come with ideas, but they don't want to get involved. So what it does is it burdens us even more. And then when the parents say they think that you didn't consider their ideal, you know, because of course you had so many other things that you were working on, then they kind of back off. But hey, listen, a parent came up to me and she says, there's a popcorn fundraiser, you get 50%, and it works, Ms. McGee. The popcorn is just delicious. I mean, I can't say how delicious it is. I said, okay, get the information, and when are you going to kick it off, the fundraiser? You know, so we looked at specific dates. We wanted to make sure we got it right before the Thanksgiving break, you know, and right after the Thanksgiving break so that they could have it. And we let her do her thing. And guess what? It raised quite a bit of money, because when parents see other parents involved, they get involved. So it worked really, really well. All right, so I have about 7 minutes. Promote Adventist education, planning promotional activities, participate, be visible, participate in baby dedications, work toward the goal of enrolling every child of the church school in the school. Promote the school in the community. Let them get out. We used to go to nursing homes and stuff. Yes, it's hard to do it now, but how about if you know the director and they can project a Zoom screen where the kids are participating and the people at the nursing homes can see these kids. They're singing, they're quoting scripture, they're seeing positive affirmations, sharing positive affirmations with the people in the nursing home. Oh my goodness, what a change that will make. They become part of the promotion of Adventist Christian education. All right, and so I'm just zooming now, okay? So enhance the parent-teacher relationship, inviting parents to visit the school, have the parents assist the teachers in presenting special programs. Select a room mother, or room father, where they come in and work with the children, and also give parties, for that class. Send out articles about the parent-teacher interactions, what's going on in the school. The parent may not be able to get there, but take some pictures. I know one of my teachers, whenever the child was doing something or whatever, she'd take pictures and just text a picture over to their parent so that the parents can have something to smile about. And sure, they're going to share their baby doing something with somebody else who's going to say, hey, where does your child go to school? So it's very, very important. And of course, parents, encourage the parents to encourage the teachers, and encourage the teachers to encourage the parents. All right, encourage effective parenting. All right, we already talked about that, but I like this little comment strip. It says, your son did great, Mr. Jones. On the other hand, you need to pay attention in family worship. So the parents are looking, the students are sharing, they feel comfortable to share, what's going on at their home, and you need to keep that open dialogue. All right. All right, so here's some interactive fundraisers, okay? School shower, fruit and nut sales, run or walkathon, book fairs, fun activities. Even with coronavirus, you can do a run or walkathon because it's outdoors. You can do the popcorn fundraiser. You can host book fairs, okay? And if you have a gym, or letting certain groups go in at a certain time and remain socially distanced. We did a drive-through activity when COVID first hit. It was a hit. The parents were really excited about it, and it was all about the kids. All right. Make sure that you have your monthly home and school meetings. Get the notice out in advance. Of course, you may not be able to do the face-to-face, but virtual meetings. Just ensure that you are meeting your constituents' needs, okay? Don't say, well, we're going to have it at 3:30 and parents don't get off the 5. Then, consider the parents so that you can get the most participation as possible. All right, collaborate for success. We talked about that. It's all about attitude. Okay, have a can-do spirit. When somebody complains, you have that positive attitude. Okay, create an online connection. All right, share things with the parents, keep them informed. Okay, keep it fun. Include pictures. Okay, I was bad with taking pictures, so guess what I did? I got a student and a parent to continue to take pictures when we're having activities, because I didn't want to lose any of the pictures, because pictures tell 1,000 words. And so you want them to be active, you want the kids to be engaged, and this shows, hey, we had something going on. Okay, allow parents to share their feedback and reach parents the way they prefer. If a parent does not answer emails, you know that they have a phone and they text you nonstop. Don't be sending them emails all the time. Send them a text.
Right.
And then if it's important, you send them a text and say, I have emailed you something important. Please check your email.
Right.
Okay. So there's ways, reach them the way they prefer. All right. I'm going to have to bypass questions or comments at this time. I do want to leave you with this thought. Remember, the church school does not happen. It's the product of a team when faith and love and sacrifice fulfill God's highest dream. Then I want to share this. You're an important part of Adventist Christian education. I like this text. Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. That's a promise that God has given to us. So the position that you're in, God wants to bless you. So may God's special blessings be on you as you work to strengthen the ties between the home, school, and church. God bless you. And I believe we're right at the end. And if anyone has one last comment.
I just want to say I appreciate your presentation. It was absolutely
God.
fantastic.
Praise
It was
God.
very much needed. And a lot of stuff I didn't even realize that we were already putting into practice. So I'm glad to see that Latanya and I are on the right track, and Diana before Latanya and I were on the right track. So it just helps me to see that we're on the right track and that we are focused. And I'm looking forward now to doing more and getting our parents involved more.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. If there's no more comments, let us bow our heads for prayer. Thank you, God, for the opportunity that you have given to us to collaborate, Lord, and come together. Lord, we thank you for the information that was shared, Lord, and you get all the praise, honor, and glory. Lord, bless this team, Father, as they do ministry in your vineyard as leaders of the Home and School Association. Bless them, give them ideas, Lord. Bring parents around so that they can collaborate and join forces with the home and school, Lord, to further your work in this vineyard of educating students, not only for this world, but for the world to come. We thank you, we love you, we praise your holy name. And Lord, most of all, please save us. In Jesus' name, amen. May God bless each and every one of you all.
Do we come back here at 1?
You can go to another one because I'm just repeating this one. If you
Okay.
want to come back, you're welcome.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right, bye now.
It's
Okay,
at
bye.
12.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Do you think that because you're on the high school level, that you get less participation from the parents? Because now they're saying my child is a teenager, I don't have to spend as much time with parent engagement and being associated with the home and school. I have other things to do versus someone who's a leader, home and school leader at an elementary level.
I think yes, and I think one of the reasons also would be because typically for the elementary schools, they belong specifically and solely to a particular church, whereas the high school, and I did put a question in the chat too, whereas the high school is a constituency school that belongs to multiple churches. And so oftentimes, individuals feel like, well, the other churches will take care of it, or this will take care of it. And so you end up finding that you don't get anyone to, acknowledge or support.
Yeah, I think the way that it is rolled out with the constituent churches, especially say Berean owns Berean, so from my understanding, other churches can support, certainly they can support, but they really don't have too much of a say so because Berean has its own, they
Right.
solely
Yeah.
own.
So right. So some
And
of the
so-
issues that the Berean school would have as far as parent involvement and support, they won't have the same challenges as GAAA. Because at the end of the day, when you stand in the pulpit or stand wherever, you reach out to the church family there, they see the ownership that, because the buck stops with them. Whereas with GAAA, everybody kind of looks to the other church or to the other group.
I've found that in situations like that, it is difficult, very difficult. Winning students over who has a lot of influence with their parents is almost the best way of getting them involved. Not saying that parents don't want to take on another responsibility, as an ongoing, but they may do a fundraiser for you. And so just getting multiple people to do different pieces helps to lessen the load of the home and school association, I think. But of course, I have not been in that situation either. Okay. Anyone else want to share anything? I don't know, Ms. Russell can call in or whatever. So we're going to move on. Mr. Andrew, any questions or comments? All right.
Now,
So,
before you go on, Ms. McGee,
mhm.
I did ask a question pertaining to some of the something that you said in this section, but and I left it in the chat.
Okay, so you said in a constituency school like GAAA that does not belong to one church, should the education secretary from all the churches be? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. It's very important. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And it would be nice if every church had the school, the home and school leader would have an assistant in every church that is a constituency of the school. Because the more people in the various churches that have the buy-in, they share it with their congregation to help them get on board. So even though I was at AAIS, and I think it was only one church that sponsored them, we had people from other churches that got on board to support our school. So for an example, we had just right off the top of my head, Jonesboro Adventist Church in Jonesboro, Georgia, is with Georgia Cumberland. But what they saw we were doing, whenever we were invited, we went. It didn't make any difference what conference it was. This is all about ministry. And we went. The pastor was so impressed that, and they only had one boy at the time that was coming over from the Jonesboro school at the time. That little boy was in kindergarten. By the next year, we had his uncle, who was a teenager, and another family to join. Well, guess what? The church saw what we were doing because the boy shared it, his mom shared it. We're over there ministering, and the church decided, hey, every child that goes to that school, we're going to give them $600. Okay. Now, our tuition was low, but $600 goes a long ways, and so the next year we had probably about 3 different families who had multiple children within the family to attend the school. And so a lot of it is what we do in the community that grows our schools. You can't do it alone. It takes team effort. And so if you could get the buy-in where, okay, there is a leader, but you have assistant leaders, from the various constituent churches. And you, of course, with the educational secretaries, and you get that buy-in where you all are meeting together to see how you can grow the school. I think it'll be advantageous to what you're trying to get accomplished.
Right. But communication is also key. For example, I didn't know that there was going to be a home and school session to the training this year.
Really?
I was here because I was invited to be here as the new youth ministries leader for my church. And so as I was browsing through, I happened to notice that there was a session that said home and school. I said, oh, and so I went to the one in the morning and then went to this one in the afternoon. But I have not gotten any, I don't know how the information was disseminated, but yeah, it didn't reach me as home and school leader. And so maybe that's why maybe more individuals may not be getting the information as well. I don't know if it's coming through the school. I'm assuming that it's going to the school, but yeah, it's not making its way to us.
I will inquire about that. I'm not totally sure myself, but we had about 8 people this morning, but we have 17 schools. So I was looking for more this afternoon. But as you're saying, if you didn't get the information, who else didn't get the information?
Right.
And the blessing is these are being recorded and they will be made available. But, sometimes like we're having a conversation right now, somebody would have had a question. The one this morning, You know, if you get a chance, go back and listen when it becomes available. Go back and listen to that, because there was a lady named Miss Jackson, and she was on it, just bringing some ideas and sharing some things. And I asked her to be on this afternoon, but she did chat with me that she had another presentation to attend.
Gotcha.
And so, because it livened up the meeting, and a lot of valuable information was shared from various participants. And so we can keep talking. I don't have a problem, you know, but it wouldn't it have been great if we had like 4 or 5 people talking and sharing some things, because there are some things they may have been able to answer your question even better than I did.
Right.
You know, so things like that. But yeah, anytime you can stop me and we'll go back to it. I'm going to share my screen again. All right. So we've gone through the question part, and then it says, what is the Home and School Association goal? Cooperation. Cooperation with the parent and the church and the school, cooperation with the community. You know, all these things are essential for growing our school. Okay. And we know the church is the community as well. All right. Parents involvement, parent engagement, it's all the same thing, getting the parents to be involved in their child's education and promoting the school. So how can parents get involved? Volunteering. I'm gonna tell you, you hear people complaining about a school, ask them to get involved. Ask them, what can you do to make it better? You shared a problem and you have a valid concern. What can you do to help us? Join our team. Give us some ideas so that we can work toward that goal, you know? Encouraging parents to get involved with their child's education. I don't care how old the child is. They need direction at some point in time. I remember when we went into COVID, and my son went to boarding school and he came home. So they said, okay, we're going to do virtual learning. So you need to be online at a certain time. Once I found out he wanted to roll out of bed like 3 minutes before class began, I said, oh, no, buddy, because you're not going to be ready for it. So I was intentional about him getting up early enough to not only, you know, have his worship, but to be alert in class. And he wanted to do it in his bedroom. Oh, no, sir, you're going down to the breakfast table. That's where you're going to have your lesson, or you'll go to your dad's office. But you can't just be in bed having class, okay? So being a parent really and taking that on, you know, of I care about you, I care about your education. You may be 17 years old, but I'm still paying your tuition. I need you to be focused. I need you to be engaged. All right. Communication. Communication is key. And a lot of times when parents feel like they are not being heard, they shut down. Okay. And I told the last group, you know, sometimes we say, okay, we hear you. And then we make it our sole responsibility to go and try to fix this matter. And from the way that I see it, because of what so-and-so said, this is what needs to be done. No. What you want to do is bring people together as the community to see what's positive that's going on. You know, where are our strengths? Then what are our concerns? How can we work on our concerns to bring them up to part of our strengths? You know, and it takes the community. It does. Ensuring that the students are learning at home, because if they're only getting the education at school, something is going to go lacking, and it is their education. Let the parents be involved in decision making. They're a critical part of the education system, and if they feel as though they have a say-so in what is going on, then more than likely, they'll become avid participants in the education process. All right, again, bring in collaboration with the community. Focus on what matters. So often we get sidetracked on various different things, you know, and especially if a parent is talking to you here and then Sister Sally talking to you over there, and then your head could be spinning. But focus on what matters. Promoting Adventist education, enhancing the parent-teacher relationship, encouraging and being an active part of effective parenting. That means don't only say you're a bad parent or you need to be doing this and another. Join forces with the parents so that they can see what effective parenting looks like. Join them. Maybe it is because they don't have the resources. Provide the resources that are needed for them to be effective parents, okay? And then, of course, you know that there need to be organized meetings. Promoting Adventist education is key. It is so critical. Planning promotional activities, participating at baby dedication, just show up. That means if you have assistant leaders in all these churches, it isn't on you to be making your rounds to all these churches. Those assistant leaders need to be participating in baby dedications, planning promotional activities from their church to the school, you know, communicating school events and activities, you know, working toward the goal of enrolling every child at that church in the school. Enhance parent-teacher relationship. I like this part because when we start bringing parents in, inviting them in to read with the children, Ms. Russell knows that she has been my home and school leader, and we've called her in, you know, come read to the children, come and do this, you know, do the other. Ms. Russell, I need this. So all the students know who the home and school leader is, you know, because she is actively participating in the growth of the school. Assist teachers in presenting special programs. We want the parents to get involved, selecting room mothers and grade room fathers, you know, sending out articles about parent-teacher interactions and encouraging teachers. Teachers need encouragement. I mean, it's been ever since I know I've been in teaching, but even more so now with everything that is going on. Parents, I've heard about parents who have had to deal with COVID, or their child has dealt with COVID, or the schools are shutting down. It is no easy task to even sit at home and teach virtually. Because for me, 3 to 4 times a day, I was calling a parent. I need your child on. Your child was on, but now they're gone. You know, all these different things. So it becomes more stressful. And sometimes people think, oh, they just roll out of bed and cut on the computer. It's a lot more than that, unless you have a teacher that's not doing what they were supposed to be doing. It's a lot more. So encouraging the teacher. I appreciate you calling me to tell me that my son is not on. I appreciate you saying that you're going to spend time after class to virtually work with my child. Encouraging teachers, and you will see how far those teachers will work to ensure that your child is successful. All right. You said something, a part of solution. You want to share that?
Oh, I was just saying that, yes, invite them when they have concerns or complaints to be a part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah, awesome. And I just tell you, the more the parents are involved, the less complaints they have. Yeah. Because they become part of the team. Mm-hmm. You know, and so, and the little, and some of them were great, but some things are little that they wanted to complain about. When they become part of the team, those little irritants that used to bother them, they kind of overlook them now because they see the whole picture. Mm-hmm. You know, and they've joined forces with this team who's going somewhere, that's going somewhere. So that's important. We're almost near the end, but I want to move on. I like this little video, but it says encourage, strip. Strip. Encourage effective parenting, providing a parent education lending library of resources, focusing on family values, planning social activities that bring families together. And this little script says, your son did great, Mr. Jones. On the other hand, you need to pay attention in family worship. So that means that the child felt comfortable with the teacher to share what was going on in family worship. And of course, we know that we don't get on parents like that. But I thought it was just kind of funny because that's the connection. You know, when I can say something funny, I say, but for you, ma'am, I need you to be more engaged in what is going on. And we just kind of laugh and they say, you're right, Miss McGee, you're right. You know, and so what it is not bashing them, but bringing them along. You know, we can't go. We need you on board before we take off, you know, type thing. And so when they feel appreciated and when their parents feel valued, they want to do more. Here's some interactive activities and fundraising resources, you know, and there's so many more, but you know, sometimes we say it's COVID, we can't do it, but there's so many things that we can even do outside. There's virtual things that we can do. Our home and school meetings, they're now face-to-face, but when COVID really hit and we weren't understanding what was going on, we continued to have our home and school meetings. They were just virtual. And you always put the kids on program. When you put kids on program, the parents show up. You know, a home and school leader provided the meals every time we had our monthly home and school meetings. You know, put the parents on program. You know, there was a time when we even allowed the parents to share thankful praises of whatever. When they feel valued, they form that bond with you. They want to do more. Just, they may not have money, but they're willing to say welcome and pass out the flyer. You know, anything makes your workload less. So these are a couple of activities that I just kind of pulled. And, you know, sometimes we think that I am the home and school leader, I got to have these fundraisers, you know, and I have to do this and another. Let those parents run some fundraisers. I had one that told me about the popcorn fundraiser. I knew I was too busy to do it. So I told her, please get all the information. And she did. I said, now, I don't mind writing something up about it, you know, passing out flyers and stuff, but this is your show. I need you to know this is your show. And she was all into it. The fundraiser was a success. We ran it twice that year. And then the following year, we ran it again. I'm no longer there. I'm not sure if they're still running it, but if they are, I will buy the popcorn because it was amazingly good. All right. But it was a fundraiser. People realized that, you know, 50% stayed right in your pocket. So it was a great thing. All right, we're coming toward the end, but again, home and school meetings, traditionally monthly, face-to-face or virtual meetings, just have them monthly. Keep it before the parents, encouraging the parents to attend, getting them involved in different things. It's easy to complain, and especially when if you hang around negative people, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be negative. So when you can find best solutions for different things and ask them to come up with a solution, you know, I hear you. We do have our challenges. Think about a solution. What can we do where it is a win-win for everyone? You know, so getting them involved. All right. It's all about the attitude. That's one thing that we must always remember. It's all about the attitude. Connections. Making those simple connections with the parents, keep them updated, keep things fun. If there's a party or somebody's having an oratorical contest or the spelling bee, whatever, you're encouraging them and you're taking videos or photos, you know, and then you want to post them. You have a millennial parent, hey, have them to post it on their Facebook or their Instagram, you know. Getting the community involved in what's going on. Allow parents to share their feedback. Let them be part of the team, okay? And then let's not say, well, the only way I communicate is through email. Some parents, especially this younger generation, they don't check their email. but they do have their mobile phone, so they see a text really quickly. You know, that's the way they respond. Text them. Some people only respond to a phone call. Call them. Some people are email them. Whatever way that you can get the best response from the parents, be willing to do it. All right. And sorry, I hit that. Let's keep going here. All right. Any questions or comments? Says to return to the final generation session after go to, okay, so remember this, if you're going back to the final general session, it is sacchurchleadership.com, sacchurchleadership.com. All right, I want you to remember something. The church does not happen. It's the product of a team. When faith and love and sacrifice fulfills God's highest dream. Also know that you are an important part of Adventist Christian education. I love this verse. Never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Talk about a promise. God has promised to never leave us or forsake us. May God's special blessings be with you as you work to strengthen the ties between home, school, and the church. God's blessings. I thank you all for joining me this afternoon. We may have been small in number, but I hope that you gained some insight on the home and school as far as the leaders are concerned. Any questions, comments? I know we're right at 1 o'clock, so I'm going to not.
Very good, Ms. McGee.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Ms. McGee.
Praise God. Thank you. Let's bow our heads. Yes, go on. Go
No, I
on.
was just gonna ask, so this will be like an annual thing? Will it continue, I hope, each year?
I believe so. I
Okay.
believe so. Okay.
Awesome,
right.
awesome.
God bless you. Good to see you as well. Please tell your girls I said hello.
Will
All right.
do.
Let's bow our heads for prayer. Thank you, God, for all you have and all you continue to do. Lord, we ask you to bless this platform that you have given to us to share information about the Home and School Association, Lord, that we have all gained a better insight of your will for us in this position. Bless us, dear Lord, and keep us blessed as we return to the general session. Give us more information that will help us on our way. In Jesus' name, amen. God
Amen.
bless you. Bye
Thank
now.
you. Bye-bye.